Hey everybody, Dr. Ben Atkins here, and welcome to the weekly ad call. This is the Wednesday ad call. Every week we cover the ads, and we typically are covering the ads that were from the day before. When on Tuesdays, we cover our funnels, and we go through very niche specific things and how you drive traffic to those businesses. Whether you are a business owner that actually owns the business, you are the marketing person for that business, or you happen to own a digital agency and you make your money by helping other small businesses to get people through the door. And so today we're going to be actually covering all of that stuff. So yesterday, what we actually covered was this, is we were talking specifically about gyms and fitness centers. And with those gyms and fitness centers, what we were super focused on was making sure that we had a great offer, and that offer was something that was going to attract people and get them to sign up, but also get them through the door and turn them into a full-blown monthly member of the gym or fitness center. Now, all that said, we have all of our funnel put together. If you missed any of that, you can go back and watch the replay of that. Where this particular replay is going to live is on a page with that other replay, so it should be all together for you then. Today, we're going to talk about the ads, like how do we actually get traffic in front of them? And I'm going to be taking a very basic approach to this, because the number one thing that I see people do with ads is they get very complicated. They get into pixels, they get into retargeting, they get into all this crazy stuff with ads, and they get into it way before. Now, I'm going to be the first person to tell you that pixels, retargeting, all those things are very, very important, but they're not important right away. The thing that's important right away is very, very simple. Do you have an offer that people want? Do they click on the image to go check out your offer? Do they sign up? You don't need a bunch of complicated ad stuff at first to test and see if your offer is going to work in a particular area. Okay, now that's the first big thing that I have to say is start simple, make sure it converts. After you've got an offer that converts, that's when you dial it in. That's when you start getting heavy into pixels. That's when you start getting heavy into retargeting. That's when you start getting big and heavy into testing multiple ad images and split testing things. But we don't have to do any of that to get started. So that's the first thing. The next thing that I have to say is this, and this is something that I want you to write down. If you are someone that is trying to get good at Facebook ads, I want you to write this down, because I see so many people making this mistake. If you've not sent 100 clicks to the page, you really don't know anything. And that's the bare minimum. So with our particular clients, what I'm trying to do the first month is I'm trying to get enough clicks to the page. I'm not talking about impressions, like Facebook ad impressions, like how many people have seen it. I'm talking how many people actually clicked it. And that's the idea. If you're having trouble getting to 100 clicks in a week to 2 weeks, something's wrong with what? How many of you can answer me on that? If you're having trouble getting clicks on the actual ad, getting them to go to the actual page, what's the problem? If you're having a tough time 1 to 2 weeks getting 100 clicks, what's the problem? It's the ad. It's the ad. Now, with the ad, it could be the offer, it could be the ad image, but like something's wrong with the ad that it's not standing out to people. But keep in mind, it could be the offer, it could be the ad image. Those are the things that we've got to look at. Most of the time, it's going to be the offer, by the way. It's going to be the offer, by the way. And that's it. Stefan says, it seems the video has stopped at the Wednesday ad call. We've not left this screen yet. I'm still talking to you. So the idea here is this. Is you got to get at least 100 clicks. Now, if you've gotten 100 clicks to the page, but you're not getting any opt-ins, what's the problem there? What's typically the problem if they get all the way to the opt-in page, they've clicked on the ad, but they're not actually opting in? Well, that means there's something wrong with your landing page. There's something wrong with the landing. They thought, okay, the offer looked good enough to click, but we came to the landing page and something on the landing page happened, something that was said here didn't jive. So we go look at the copy. Now, the beautiful part about what we're doing with Meet Roost is we have very minimal copy on the page. And so that's a very, very good thing, right? A very, very good thing. And so that's where we're at. Now, what happens if they clicked on the ad, they went to the opt-in page, we're getting people to actually sign up at the opt-in page, but we're not actually booking appointments? What's happening there? What's happening there? And these are super important things with ads. What's happening there? If they're not actually booking the appointments, we have an issue with follow-up. And 9 times out of 10, I'm going to tell you this. 9 times out of 10, it's happening because the office or the business that you're working with is not doing what they need to do to follow up with the leads that you got them. And typically that has to do with a staff issue, with the staff not being bought in to the process. They don't believe in what you're doing yet. So those three big concerns, does everybody understand in my brain how I break these things down? Give me a big yes if this makes sense. And ads start off that simple. Ads start off that simple. So I want everybody to understand that that's where we're at. So all that said, let's talk about this. Let's talk about how to set up the Facebook ad for this funnel, which this week we are talking through something super key. Okay. Roger says what you just said is critical to talk through with a client because it shows that we know what we're talking about. Could you repeat? Yeah, let's actually repeat that. Here's the first thing. If you want to explain to a client what you're doing in the first month, it's this. You say, listen, we're going to run a Facebook ad. The first thing I got to do is I have to make sure that people are actually clicking on that ad. And if they're not clicking on that ad, it means that we've got to tweak the ad or we've got to tweak the offer, meaning maybe the offer isn't something that's that good to them. Okay. And that's the first thing. The second thing is if they're clicking on the ad, they're going to our opt-in page, but they're not opting in. We've got to tweak the copy on the page. That's the second thing that I've got to dial in these first 30 to 60 days. Now, after that, if they're clicking on the ad, if they're opting in, but they're not calling or they're not actually showing up, then we've got an issue of staff follow-up. That's typically, we've got to get your team on board with following up with people. Our system follows up with them automatically, but we've got to get them to follow up. Does that make sense to everybody? Those are really the three big things that we've got to determine. Now, there's little microcosms in each of them, but that's the idea. Okay, good. So this week, we're going to talk about setting up the ad funnel. This week, we are talking about gyms and fitness centers. And so we had the funnel yesterday. Today, we're going to talk about the ad. Now, what I want to do is I want to get out of slides as quickly as possible, and let's actually talk about this ad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back out of this. When you can see the Meet Roost app on your screen right now, let me know. Let me know that it's showing up and you can see the app. And yeah. So just a real quick recap of what we built yesterday. We went in and we set up a funnel using the pre-done funnel that we've got for you in the system. Okay. And we set up a campaign. After we built the funnel, we used that funnel to build a campaign. Now we can build multiple campaigns using the same funnel. Now, here's the one thing that I want to tell you all that is super important. We created this page by using the funnel and the campaign. This is pretty much the pre-built, what came in the box. The only thing that didn't come in the box here is this logo, which you put in the logo for whichever business you're advertising for. It's a great page. It's going to get some great signups for you, but that's what we've got, especially if you're targeting the particular audience that we're targeting, which we're going to go through in just a minute. So with that said, something that's key, I want you all to understand this. I want you to think now, this is my client. I've already signed this client up. This is Stronger Together Fitness. This is who we're working with, and this is what we've got. When we run an ad, we want to make sure that something in particular is in place for this page. And I want you all to sort of dig into this. If you go into funnels and you go into view funnel, okay, view funnel, and we're pulling up the Stronger Together Fitness model. This is the one that we built yesterday. And we go to landing page. There's a particular place here that is preview image. Does everybody see where I'm pointing at preview image right here? Everybody see that? Give me a big yes if so. Now, there's a particular reason that we didn't fill this one in for you, okay? Now, we fill some of these in, but there's a particular reason that this one's not filled in. It's because I want you all to actually put in a preview image. Now, what this preview image is this is what shows up when people share this to Facebook, when people share this to Twitter, when people share this online. This is the meta preview image that's going to show up. Now, ideally for a gym, what do you need? What do you need as your preview image? What does anybody have any ideas? What would be the absolute best thing to have in here? People and weights, possible. It's very specific. This is what I want you guys to think of. This is what I want you guys to think of, and it's this. Can you get somebody in the gym? Can you get somebody in the gym to take a picture? And what I'm typically after is this. Can you get the personal trainer on a exercise bike? Can you get the personal trainer on a weight machine? I want to see the face of the local person on that. Can the gym owner, whoever you're talking to, go in, take a picture with their phone in sort of the horizontal fashion? Can they take a picture and send you a picture of someone there? You want this to look local. Does this make sense? We want to get away from at least with this ad image, we want to get away from the generic and we want to get into something that's more local. Okay? That's where we're at. And it doesn't have to be an amazing picture by any means. I'm going to show you, kind of how to do this so that it makes it look better. But, this is key. For everybody that we do this for, we try to get a face that they're actually going to see. Okay, now you don't have to do this for all the other funnels, okay? That's not where we're going with this. But for this particular funnel, I like highlighting either the dietitian or more often than not, a personal trainer or two that we've got that show them inside the actual gym. I want people when they're on Facebook to feel like they're seeing faces that will be familiar, but also I want them to have a window into what the actual gym looks like. Does everybody understand that? Give me a number one if you understand that. Does this make sense? Good. And that's the idea. Local, we want to give people a window. The number one reason people don't go into gyms is what? What is the number one reason that people don't actually sign up for a gym? It's because of that. It's fear of the unknown. There's not a lot of comfort with these places because these places can be intimidating, especially if you're a mom. I want you guys to get into the mindset of a mom. And by the way, I'm going to be pretty terrible at this, and I'm really leaning on what I've heard people on my team tell me because a lot of my team they have kids, and what my wife tells me. But here's what I hear a lot of. It's, what, I was always pretty fit, but then I had kids. And I really started thinking about, how I looked. I knew I needed to get in better shape, but I didn't want to go back to the gym because it was I did not like the vibe. I didn't like either the vibe of the guys in the gym, or I didn't like the vibe of all these 21-year-olds running around in the best shape of their life, and they're in the gym every day. And it's an intimidating thing for new moms, the moms that we're actually targeting for this, or moms that have had kids for a while. And not so intimidating that they can't get over it, but it's definitely a roadblock mentally. And like I said, I'm the worst person. I don't have this same experience. This is me listening to the people that, I trust, which is my team, my wife, and my friends that have, they've had kids and they're wanting to get back into going to the gym regularly. This was a roadblock mentally for a lot of them. And so this is something I want you to keep in mind. If in the ad you can give them a window that they can look into the gym, that's a good thing. That's a very, very good thing. Does that make sense to everybody? Does that make sense to everybody? Good. Now I'm going to also, like I said, I just want everybody to understand that. So as you're looking at this and you go into the actual funnel, and by the way, when you actually change this in the funnel, it will change the image on all of the campaigns that you've set up that use this funnel, okay? So that's very, very handy. Now, the idea here is what we're going to do is we're going to go into something like Canva. And Canva is just an image designer, and you can use the image that you got from the gym. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually click into Facebook ads here, right? And it gives us this image that looks like this. And so what I'm wanting to do is I don't want to get overly fancy with this. I don't want to get overly fancy with this. I want to click something like this. Okay, can everybody see what we've got? Can everybody see what we got? So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to type 2 weeks on us. For Jonesboro moms only. Everybody kind of see what I did there? Everybody kind of see what I did there? Simple. Now, we don't want the salad in the background, obviously, but you're going to have an image. Now, what I want this image to look like is basically this. I want this to be this vibe. Now, I don't want it to look like a stock photo, but I want it to be this vibe. Okay? Now, the idea is you can go in and you can filter this image and you can set up some things. And I'm just going to use the epic thing, and I'm probably going to adjust it and make it a little bit darker. But I want these trainers, I want your trainers, and I want their face, and I want the gym in the back of them. I want to give people a window into what we're doing. And so I'm going to download this. I'm going to download this, and we're going to download this to our computer. We're going to jump in here to our actual funnel. And I want something that looks like this. And we're going to go down here and we're going to save it. Okay? So we're going to go down here and we're going to save it. Now, even if you don't save it to your actual funnel, that's okay. You don't have to actually save it to your funnel. You can actually just do that at the Facebook ad level, but you get the idea of where we're going. So the idea is we've got this page now. We've got this page. We want to run a Facebook ad. So we've got that. We've got our image set up. What I do with all of my things that I do here in this is we'll take this, I'll go to the Facebook debugger, and you can just Google Facebook debugger, and we'll type in that address and we click debug. And you're wanting to scrape this until the image pops up and you know that it's working. See, now that before there was no image in there, so it wasn't finding it, but when I put it at the funnel level, all of my campaign addresses now have that image in the back. Does this make sense? If you want to test a different campaign image down the road, we'll have multiple funnels. We can do that, but you get the idea here, right? Okay, good. So the key here is now we've got something that we can start testing, and now we want to run an ad with it. We've got the URL, so we're going to go over to Facebook and we're going to jump into the actual ad setup. Now, as I said, down the road we can do via conversion. We can do all kinds of stuff with the way our software works where you can track via conversion. Don't worry about that. Peter says, talk about the Facebook debugger. So real quick, Peter, all the Facebook debugger is it tells you before you have to actually share it to Facebook or test it on Facebook, you put in a URL, the Facebook debugger will tell you, does this look right? Does this look right? And does it pop up the image it's supposed to? Does the meta stuff here? So Peter, do you see down here where it says free 2-week gym membership together at Stronger Together Fitness? All that stuff, buddy, is coming from the funnel editor. So if I go to landing page and I look up here at the top and I say main offer at business name, what that's doing is it's pulling, so free 2-week gym membership is the offer at business name. And so all of those things are pretty much the way that that works. Okay? Make sense? Good. So that's the idea. All I'm doing is I'm using a tool that Facebook has built for advertisers and for marketers and for everybody that's just trying to debug. This is making sure we're here. And have you ever used moving GIFs in the Facebook ad? I have, but a lot of times it's not as effective as just your static image, and it's a little more complicated. Okay. Now, I always watch that stuff, William. So just so you know, I'll keep my eye on it, but this seems to work really well for us. Okay, so that's what we've got in the debugger. So if this looks the way that it's supposed to in the debugger, then we're good to go. Now, if it doesn't work the way it's supposed to in the debugger, you go back and you edit the funnel and then save it, and then you can debug again by hitting scrape again, and then you should be good. Okay, so that's where we're at. Now we're going to jump into the ads. What we're going to do right now is we're going to jump in and we're going to start with traffic. Just simple traffic ads right now. As I said, I will get more into complication later on down the road. But right now, keep it super simple. You just want to see if people react to your ad. That's important. So we've got that. Right now we go into traffic, and we're going to title this our Mom 25, 35, add 1. Okay. So from here, ad set, this is 25 to 35. You don't even have to touch it if you want to, but just so we know, we're going to be sending traffic to a website. Okay. We're not doing anything dynamic. We're not doing offers. We're keeping it simple. Now, in audiences, we want to go in and we want to set this up. So I'm going to set this up and I'm going to say, you know what? I want to target specifically Jonesboro, Arkansas. Okay, let's just say that that's where my gym is, and because that's where I happen to live. We're going to target people within 10 miles of Jonesboro, Arkansas. Okay, now right now that's 97,000 people. 97,000 people. We're going to target females ages 25 to 35. That takes us down to 29,000 people, but we have to do females here. Now we're down to 15,000 people. So we're really getting there. Now, if I wanted to up that a little bit, and you can up it a little bit with your gyms, we go to 15, and you can see that we get a few more people here and there, but nothing fancy, nothing crazy. Now, Jonesboro overall is a relatively small town, but I want you all to understand, does everybody understand why this metric is a little sneaky? Why this 16,000 is a little sneaky? And I actually need to say this so everybody understands. Why is this metric not 100% accurate overall? Why do you think? Why do you think? Because people are going to be moving in and out. People are going to be turning 25 from 24. Jonesboro, Arkansas, and please keep this in mind, is a college town. So every year we get, we basically double in population. It's one of those interesting things. So like I said, I want you all to understand. That we're building a dynamic audience, not an audience of 16,000 people that won't change. Okay, so how we continue to sort of build this out is important. So we get into this, and we want to actually, from here, we want to move into a little more specific with who we're actually targeting. Okay, so we want to go into detailed targeting. And what we're going to do is I'm going to start typing in moms. Hang on, let me actually, because this is, so a couple of things here. So if we get into this, if we type in stay-at-home mom, job title, that's one. Okay, just stick with me here. And we go to suggestions. We've got full-time mother. And I like these job titles, mom, housewife, and stay-at-home parent, wife, mother, homemaker. Just stick with me here. Mom 24/7. You're going to get all these fun things that start to lock these people in, right? That lock these people in. And you can select all these. So that's a start, right? Now, what we want to do is we want to get even more into this. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type mom again, or let's do parent. And can everybody see these demographics here, these specific demographics that I'm pointing at right now? All right, so here's what we got. New parents, parents with toddlers. Parents with new parents. We'll go to suggestions now. Parents with preschoolers. Parents with children. Starting to see sort of what I'm doing here. And I even like parents with preteens. And we start tightening up. Now, this is a particularly tight audience in this range, right? This is a particularly tight audience in this range. If we were to extend this out, I want you to watch what happens. If we say we take it to 40, watch what happens. So 25 to 40, you can see it sort of grow and go up and down. Now, the idea here is this. Are we trying to build a monster audience that is just insanely big, as if we were selling t-shirts to people that liked a video game? Nope, that's not what we're doing. We're trying to be specific and talk to one particular person. So an audience this size or a little bigger is good. Now, I may want to actually build this out a little bit bigger by adding a few more of these, and you can just go to, like, once you start filling it out like this much, you can go to suggestions. So stay-at-home mommy, we can add that. Parents with teenagers, like, sure, I'm okay with that. We can start adding lots of little things here and there that start growing our audience just a little more, a little more, a little more, and we're still very tight. Now, what I don't want you to do is I don't want you to pick something that takes them out of this. Parents with adult children, 18 to 26, probably not the best fit for us, okay? Probably not the best fit for us. But you get into some of this stuff and you start seeing that this stuff is important, okay? So housewife employers, yeah, maybe so, doesn't have to be. We get into people that are into early childhood, maybe child, like those things. All those things are possible. You sort of get where I'm going with this, though. We're just trying to be as specific as we can so that we're sure that in this audience in Jonesboro, Arkansas, 25 to 35, we're starting to nail down where we've got. Now, remember, every single day, people will move in and into this audience. People will move out of this audience, but it's a dynamic thing. What I love about this is this. As people move into this audience, they'll start seeing this offer without us even having to touch it because it's dynamic. If all this comes together, give me a yes. Make sense? Okay. Cool. So that's pretty much that. That's pretty much that. Now, ad placements, we're going to go manual placements. We're going to stick with Facebook right now. We're going to stick with Facebook right now. I want news feed. I'm okay with marketplace. I'm okay with, I don't want video feeds. I'm okay with right column. Groups feed, I'm totally cool with that. Facebook stories, don't really want that right now. In stream, don't want that. Search, I'm cool with that. In article, I'm also cool with that. That's where I want to live. That's where I want to live. Peter says, is that audience big enough? Should be. Should be just fine. Okay? Should be just fine. If it's telling you that it's like this and it actually doesn't let you get away with it. So sometimes, Peter, like, it won't let you, like, if you have a newer ad account, it won't let you get away with something this specific. So Peter, what I do in this instance is I keep adding things until I hit what I'm after. So Peter, if I had to bulk this up a little bit, I'm not overly concerned about it. And you see how with just taking it to 40, I hit a good range. Does this make sense, Peter? And so, Peter, little tiny tweaks for whatever you're at to make sure that Facebook will let you run it, but still keeping it as specific as possible. Am I worried now that we went from 25 to 40 as long as I've got these particular things in here? Does everybody understand how I'm okay with going outside of my initial age range a little bit as long as I have these things that help define who those people are? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Cool. If Facebook won't let you run the ad, it doesn't matter. I was okay with 1,900 people, but if they won't let you run the ad, it doesn't matter. Okay? Will it matter if I use the actual address of the business or just the city? You can totally put in by zip code. You can totally, try to really lock in with that. But with this, most of the time, I'm pretty happy with that. Most of the time, I'm pretty happy with that. Okay? Good questions. Would you test 36, 37 before jumping into 40? Yeah, absolutely, Stephen. I would slowly walk it up. I would slowly walk it up from 35 to 36 and see where that got me. Still too specific? Okay, well, let's just keep going. How about 37? We're okay, we're a little better. How about 38? You want to keep it as specific as you possibly can. And there you go. 39 was our line. 39 was our line. So you get the idea. You get the idea. So that's where we're at. Once we get that, we have our placements set. And now we're going to go down to this, and I'm going to start off with a daily budget of $10 or so. Okay? $10 or so. We're going to spend about 70 per week. If you multiply 70 per week times 4, what do you get? What do you get? Yep, there you go. There you go. Nothing fancy. Nothing fancy. We're good to go. We're under $300 right now. Do you have more room if you're charging $1,000 a month? Do you have more room to spend more money? Do you have more room to spend more money and still take a pretty good profit? Absolutely. So, and that's the low end. That's the low end if you're charging 1,000. But that's where we're at. So from here we hit continue, and we're taken to this particular screen. So can everybody see this screen? This is where we actually get into creating the ad. And I get to be a little more specific this week than I was last week because of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in the name of my page. We've got a page called Stronger Together Fitness that doesn't actually exist, but I wanted to make sure we had one just so that for, clarity's sake, we're picking the name of the business that we're working with. Okay? We're picking the name of the business that we're working with. Now from there, single image or video. And what we want to do here is they're looking for our URL. Now, if you've done the meta image stuff that I talked about earlier, and like you actually put it into that, you go over here and you put the URL in here, and Facebook's going to do the bulk of the work for you. The bulk of the work for you. Does everybody see what just happened? And you can test it. This is what it's going to look like here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change a couple things, okay? Free 2-week membership for all Jonesboro moms. Share this with a friend. Okay? Simple. Simple. And that's where we start. Now, if this ad happens to not convert well, then we make small tweaks from there. We'll tweak the image, we'll tweak the copy. Like if I think, hey, I should put something in the copy down here, moms only, or thank you, moms. Free 2 weeks at Stronger Together Fitness in Jonesboro. And then you get this, something like this. So thank you to, how about Jonesboro moms? And I tweak, like I said, I just tweak this based on, is what we came out of the gate with working? Is what we came out of the gate with working? Okay? And that's it. Now here's the thing. Let's say that you want to use different ad images for every single ad that you're using, so you can split test that down the road, but you're kind of stuck with this one because it's the meta image for all of the funnels, but you don't want to have 50 funnels. Well, real simple. All you got to do here is you go into add media. You go into add media, add image, and you can set the image for the campaign at this level instead of using the one that they give you. So all of a sudden now, if we refresh this preview, we've got this image which we set at the Facebook ad level. Okay, so you can do some, and like I said, that's when you get into split testing and all that stuff. Don't complicate this right now with that, but that's how we would do it, where we could have multiple ads, even going to the same funnel eventually, when we're actually tracking pixels and things, that would be that. So keep it super simple in the beginning. And then once we're there, we've got those things. You go into here. I like to take out this. I don't like the buttons for the call to action. I like my text to be the display. And then we go to town. You don't have to have a pixel right now. You click confirm. Does that make sense to everybody? Does that make sense to everybody, what we just did there and how we did it? Okay. Okay. So Roger says, I've got to walk through with you online. Okay, so Roger wants to walk through it. Replay is going to be ready every single week, Roger. The funnel replay that we do on Tuesday, the Wednesday replay, which is what we're doing now, every single week around Thursday afternoon is when all of these will be up and you guys will have this ready. Okay. We start off with no pixel because of this. How many times have you all spent hours trying to get a pixel in place on a new campaign instead of actually running traffic to the campaign? Listen, I know some of you are more advanced. The pixel's not a big thing. We're going to get to that. Don't sweat it. But right now, what is the most important thing we have to learn about these campaigns? What's the most important thing that we've got to learn about these campaigns? We just got to see, hey, are people interested in this? Are people interested in this? Are people opting in? You know, did we actually nail the right audience? That's where we're at. You run these ads, you start getting me data back. And by the way, I got to say thank you. Somebody sent me a first campaign this week that they wanted me to look over their campaign and give them some advice on. So once I get it done today, I'm going to go do that. That's what I want you guys doing, is when you run into something that's not quite, doing what you think it should do yet, that's what we're here for. And listen, if there's ever anything that I can't answer, I got plenty of really smart friends that I can pay to come help us answer those questions. And so don't be afraid to hit me up and be like, Atkins, I need help with this client. We're really trying to dial this in. And here's the specifics of the campaign. Here's the page. Here's the ad. Here's all the things that we're doing. We'll get you answered. That is just as much a part of your Meet Roost monthly subscription fee as the software is. Does everybody understand that? We're here to back you up on that. My dedication to this app is making sure that you all are getting results to this app. And so I want you all to understand that we're there. We're there, we're here, we're going to be here. And when you get campaigns running and you get data back, I'm here to help you interpret that data and make decisions based on that data. Meet Roost is going to be a big part of all that. Okay. So good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So what other questions do you guys have that I've not answered? And if you don't have any, that's okay. But what other questions do you have other than, Atkins, when are you going to get the replay up so I can go watch this again and get this going? And I know that's a good one, and I'll hopefully have that one out. That's a good, we're going to get that done as soon as we get off this call. We start that process. Any other big questions that I need to answer, or does this all make sense from an overall standpoint? You got to go practice it. You got to go put it in action. You got to go test this. But if this makes sense and you don't have any questions, just so I don't wait around for questions, type the number 1. If you have a question, type QQQ, and I'll stick around here and answer it. So there. Okay, so here's a good question. A lot of people with number 1s, so they're good. Christopher says, so why no button? I don't particularly like the Facebook call to action buttons. I don't always think that they're in context the best. And for me, it gets in the way of my title. And it cuts off my title sometimes. And what I mean by that is simply this. If you take a look at what I'm going to show you on the screen here, we get into this now. Can you see, Christopher, can you see this? Let me make sure that we're here. Can you see the screen here? Good. So you see how we've got this written out here. Now, when I actually go in and add the button, so I'm going to take a button and I'm going to say contact us. And so we put a contact us button. Not a huge deal there. Not a huge deal there. But see what happens when I do that? And what I'm doing right now is I am looking at the mobile preview. And if I turn the button off, it's a little better. So no, actually read the entire ad on the mobile now. And so that's the thing, is when I think that like what I put in my copy is going to be more important than their call to action button. And on mobile, it's you got less space. It's probably not going to be a big deal on the actual Facebook desktop news feed. But when you get into some of the mobile and some of that stuff, it will cut it off, and that's kind of where it's at. So hopefully that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. Listen, I got a confession to make. Some of you are noticing that my audio is much different today. How many of you picked up on that? How many of you picked up on Atkins's audio was a little shittier today than it normally is? Okay, so here's story time. And as we get into this, I'll just tell you some of my fun. Yesterday, when I got done with you, hanging out with you guys, and we were done with our call, I went and got on exercise bike like I typically do every day. I try to do 20 to 30 minutes on an exercise bike. I got done with that. I went out and I got a smoothie because this is sort of my tradition through the day. I come home to sit down, and I'm sitting down in my my downstairs bedroom, and I hear this noise. I hear this drip, 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 and I'm like, what is that? And so I look up, and to the left of me, there's a vent. and there's this dripping coming from this vent. And then I noticed that there's dripping coming through the ceiling as well. And then I noticed around all this, there's an even bigger wet spot on my ceiling. And I'm like, okay. And so I go upstairs and I open up, and it's where our air unit was. And there was a damaged coil or something, and so something was leaking out. And anyways, the moral of the story is we have an amazing air guy. And within 10 minutes, we make a call, they were out. It's because we spent a decent amount of money with them. But like they were out there, they were awesome, and they tell us all these things. And moral of the story is we're putting in a new air unit in my house in the next couple days, the next week, which sucks because that's a check I don't want to have to write. But instead of my office is actually upstairs. So my downstairs air unit works great. Our downstairs house where we live 90% of the time is great. But upstairs is where my office is. And it was a blazing damn inferno there today. And so I'm at my office downtown. And so unfortunately, when I'm at my office downtown, you guys are having me on a different rig. And so I'm on a microphone today that is not my favorite. And I'm in a room that's much more echoey than normal. And I'm going to dial that in for when we have to be here a little more, but it's not my usual environment. So all that saying to say this, I apologize that it's not your standard that we normally have. That stinks. I like it when it sounds the way that I like it to sound. And I work very hard on getting it to sound a certain way, but that's what's going on. I'm a big full disclosure guy. There you guys go. So what did I miss questions when I was telling my silly little story? Like I said, I wanted you guys to know what's going on, why I sound different, why there was some audio things here and there that I'm sure you guys can hear on your end, and I'm sorry. I don't like it, but it was either you get Ben in this thing and the audio is a little different, or you get Ben in a room that's basically on fire where I was going to be in a hurry to get off. And I would much rather my audio be different than ever be in a hurry to get off the phone with you all. And so there you go. What else did I miss? I want to make sure that I get everything answered. We've got a couple more minutes, unless you guys have a ton of questions, but I want to get you guys in and out of here. Christopher says, you like marketplace and instant articles for traffic ads. I like ads when we're using a static image and that kind of copy. I like ads that will pop up, and I want these to sort of follow them around, and they'll see this in marketplace, and we get conversions from those. So yeah, like I don't mind marketplace and instant articles for those to be positioned in those too, especially when it's a local ad, because if somebody's reading an article on Facebook that's not local, and then all of a sudden they've got like a local chiropractor or a local gym advertising to them, it sort of makes that gym look even better, and your clients will actually kind of get off on that. If you're an agency and you're doing that for a client and it shows up in a place that they don't expect on Facebook, it's really cool. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, if you enjoyed this call today and you got a lot of good information out of it in a very short amount of time, that's always my goal. Tons of good information, actionable in a short amount of time. Give me a big yes or number one in the box. And I'm going to keep reading questions while you guys are doing that. Biggie says, hey, Biggie, non-ad question. Once we have a client staff properly trained, what's the ideal closing rate that we want to achieve? Biggie, where are you talking about, like actually in the office? I want the office to get up to 50 to 60% of all the leads that come through the door. I want them to convert into full-timers. Now that's a goal. That can take a while, Biggie. It's not going to be something they're going to do in the first month. But the goal is they don't have to hit 50 to 60% close rate for it to be something that's highly effective for them. But that's what I tell my businesses. We want of everybody that comes through the door, 50 to 60% of them in the first, hopefully 6 months, you are converting every single week into full-timers. Does that help? But you put it on them, Biggie. You put it on their staff. You put it on, you say, I've got to get your staff on board with this. They've got to believe in it, and they have to work hard to achieve those rates. That is on you guys. I will train you. I will back you up. If we're not hitting those percentages, we want to keep track of those percentages. And if we're not hitting those percentages, we want to make sure that we're doing that. Okay, good stuff. Philip says, you just taught me more about placing ads in that hour or so than you did when I was working with you. I love it. Well, we needed to talk ads more, didn't I? I love it. Okay. Oscar, is your flat fee all inclusive, meaning you charge $1,000 per month for ad spend, leads, clinch your offer, red envelope, business card? Yeah, well, yeah, but that's the thing. I make them pay for the red envelopes and things like that. I may provide the first set, but after that, I have them order those things. That's just part of their system. But Oscar, if I'm like including a lot more, then I'll up my price. Okay. Good. All right. You guys rock. Thank you guys for being here today. What we're going to do now is in the background, my team and I are going to go to work at getting these replays done for you guys, uploaded to the page so that hopefully by tomorrow morning, inside of the app, you all are going to be able to see. If we jump inside the app here and you click on this bell, tomorrow, very, very soon, you should see this change from Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern to replay. And you should be able to click on this and it will take you to the replay page. And as I said, we're working on a big old table of contents that we can do for you guys so that you all always have that at your fingertips. Also, I'm working on some really, really cool features for you all, both that you all have asked about, but also some things that are going to surprise you, hopefully, that we're going to get into the app in the next couple months. So stick around with me. Oh, we're also working on t-shirts for you guys. By the way, we're also working on t-shirts for you guys. And so that's big on my list to make sure that we are looking at that. How do we get those t-shirts to you guys as quickly as possible? I think you're going to dig it, and we'll get there. So all that said, that's it for this week. I'll make sure that you guys get some cool stuff replay-wise. I'm going to keep you posted on starting next Monday. Again, we're going to be doing the what's coming up to the app. What are we building into it? This is an active development project for me. I love this software for my own business, and every time I have a good idea or you guys send in a good idea, I'm looking into how we can build it into the software in a meaningful way. All right, you guys have a good rest of the day. I'm going to be emailing you some cool stuff this week, so watch your email from me, and I'll talk to you soon. Love you all the time. Have an amazing rest of the day. Have an amazing rest of the week. If you need anything at all, our support desk is standing by, as well as the Facebook group. Get in that Facebook group. Tell me all the things that you need. Tell me all the things that you're doing. I want to hear about what you're doing. Tell me. I want to hear it. All right. You guys rock. Love you, Tide. I'll talk to you soon, Roosters.